Welcome to the First Five Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Corey, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Drew Gotro.
If you're somebody who's familiar with the comedy scene, you definitely know who this guy is. But if you absolutely need an introduction, go back to episode 11, where we go into great detail about all of his credits and really like roll out the red carpet so that he would come back next time and we could treat him like shit. Please welcome to the podcast, Morgan Wright.
Hello. Yes, it's good to be back. It's good to be back in, like I said, in such a more professional setting than the last time. But it's always a pleasure to come back and hang and talk to you guys.
We have been planning this for a while. I remember when you approached me at what's the new venue? Legends Pub.
Yeah,
where we were having our new open mic is there. Mm-hmm. And were you headline? Were you?
Yeah, I was headlining.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So you were there, and you mentioned an interest in coming back, and I was like, dude, we'd be thrilled to have you. And we tried to work out something where you could bring a buddy along, and we could do 2 episodes. That didn't really work out. I'm really glad you decided to go ahead and come anyway, because I know it's a long drive to do by yourself. We really appreciate it.
I mean, any reason to get away from my house, because I've been taking care of my dad for a while, like any reason to get away from there for a couple of hours, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I remember that you had mentioned that you were going on a bit of a hiatus, or that you were going to be slowing down at the very least.
Oh yeah, very much. Yeah.
So that you could take care of your dad. But I do remember hearing some good news coming from that. Has he been recovering well?
Yeah, actually. So basically, he did his first 6 rounds of chemotherapy. So he was diagnosed with colon cancer that spread to his liver. Mm-hmm. They did the first surgery to kind of get that. And then they basically did 6 rounds of chemo and then another surgery. As far as his surgeon is concerned, he's cancer free.
Okay.
But the oncologist wants to do a couple more rounds of chemotherapy just to zap what's left, because when they do surgery, they just want to make sure that the cells don't travel anywhere into your bloodstream. So
did you have a chance to talk to the surgeon or deal with him, interact him or her at all?
Oh yeah, I've been there the whole time with him.
What was I'm just curious if you've run into this. I've heard a lot, and when my wife had a tumor removed from her. It was a pituitary tumor.
Oh, okay.
So they have to go into the brain through the nose or below the brain. And it's a scary situation, but the surgeon was so arrogant that I was like, oh, this is going to go great.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you had a similar.
We had a very similar situation to that, but the problem with my family is that my dad's second sister, my Aunt Nita, like there are 3 of them, but she is a nurse and was a nurse for 40 something years. So she was up, like the doctor would try to say something and she'd be like, you're not going to take that arrogant, I am God approach with me. I want all the information right now. Don't bullshit me. And she would just straight, she was a matter of fact, he was actually very terrified of her. But unfortunately, while my dad was in surgery recently, she passed away. And
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And so, it was actually kind of funny though, because when he got out of surgery, the doctor was scared to come into the family room, and he opened the door and he was like, "Oh, it's you." And it was just me and my brother. And he was like, and he loosened up. I saw him just loosen up and come and sit down, because she was like, "Oh, that mad woman isn't there." And then we told him what happened, and it was, but in her case, it was just, she had pancreatic cancer. And it's just one of those things that once you get that, it's asymptomatic until it's too late.
Absolutely. That's my mother-in-law passed away she was my future mother-in-law passed away from pancreatic cancer. Like I had been dating me on for 2 months when she passed away. And that was the same thing.
She found out, and then 3 weeks later, she was just gone. It was so quick. And and what's crazy is she didn't even seem that out of it until the last couple of days. It was wild, but it's made me even more of a hypochondriac in life, because now I will just get poked and prodded by doctors for anything.
Yeah, because while y'all were talking about it, I was like, I could fucking have this shit right now.
Dude, I went and got my dad got colon cancer. He's 75. I went and got a colonoscopy recently, and I have a whole new 5-minute bit about it.
Well, it's funny. That's what I was going to ask you about, because your comedy is very storytelling style, and it's heavily centered on your very interesting, very colorful family life.
Yeah.
And so I was curious, as heavy as this thing is that you've been going through, do you see yourself developing comedy or developing more material around that experience?
Oh, 100%. one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this is because today's Saturday, Thursday, so 2 days ago, I got to open for Mike Honore at the LaBerge Casino at the Bonkers Comedy Club. It's in the Edge Room at the casino. It was my first time doing a casino gig. I get to fill out a W-9 for comedy. That was pretty sick. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, of course I was like, tax man, blah, blah. But then like later I printed out a copy of it and I have it at my house in a folder of all anything that was in the news about me with comedy or when I was in politics and stuff. Like I have all that together in my 15 minutes of fame folder.
Dude, it's official, bro.
I had an extremely strong 15-minute set. My dad showed up for the first time for getting out. That's a big thing. He got out of the hospital and he showed up for the first time, brought a bunch of his friends from the bar.
Damn.
So I talked about him on stage and they all laughed. They thought it was hilarious. Almost Mike's entire family showed up. I met so much of Mike's extended family and they know so much about me now. But yeah, no, we had a huge turnout. It was great. And I mean, Jake has a great show. First time I got to meet him and he's a cool guy.
He really is. Like, I didn't know what to think of him at first. I started seeing him at the station and then he started showing up at Artmosphere a bit. And we had a chance to really, like, after he'd seen a couple episodes of the podcast, we had a chance to really talk. And I like him. We have some sort of overlap with like Christian background stuff, like being involved in like big high profile ministries and stuff. So but I have been curious, like, how did he get this Bonkers show? How is it going? You know, he seems to enjoy hosting.
Yeah. The way he described it to me is that he worked there and was like dabbling in comedy and they needed a host. And one of the guys was like, hey, you worked at the casino for 9 years. Like, why don't you come? We trust you. Come here and do it. So, and he's just now getting to the point where they're really starting to like take his word and everything. And he had a good host set. He did I think he did 7 minutes before he called me up. And, you know, real quick. He knew when it was time. Like, so yeah, he's a good guy. I liked him a lot.
It's a dark topic. It's a heavy topic, but I feel like you are well versed in dealing with taking things that might make people a little like, this is heavy or uncomfortable, and really sort of shining there.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's from the stories about my family. So my mom's side of the family, she's one of 8 kids, Irish Catholic family. My grandfather was like, you know, a truck driver. He was in the military, then he was a truck driver. And he would be gone for months at a time. He'd come home, get my grandma pregnant, be gone again. And she did her real best and she raised her kids really great. But for some reason, you know, 5 of those 8 kids all have extensive criminal backgrounds. And they all did a lot of wild shit in like the 60s and 70s. And so when it came to like the early 2000s, that door came a knocking and, you know, a lot of them started dropping like flies from just unfortunate things like, you know, hepatitis B from sharing needles, things like that. So I learned those hard lessons really early on. But when you're going, you know, I'm 38 and I've been to 42 funerals.
Damn, dude.
And I know that's like super dark, but it's also like you learn to cope with grief in a different way.
Well, sure. And
when you're there all the time, you get to a point to where you're like, I'm going to be the one that I have to take it on myself. So anytime I was in these family gatherings, whenever everybody was sad, I would just concentrate on the happy stories, all the silly stuff, all the crazy stuff. And like, you know, tell even the bad stories, but in a way that makes everybody laugh. And so, and it happens I'll have like distant cousins that pass away and people will be like, will you say something? Because I'm just, you know, I just have a more eloquent way to tell the same stories we've all been telling. Right. Just, you know, and that's how I was like, I want to laugh through the bad stuff. Yeah. That's the only way to get through it. So that's what made me the storyteller I am. It's just that tragic, unfortunate background.
Yeah.
Killing at a funeral is great too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done it, but dude, it's fun whenever you're making people laugh at a funeral. It's a good feeling.
Look, at my aunt's funeral recently, now my cousins and stuff weren't that happy about it, but I could not help but laugh. She was not, her kids are Catholic and she was a Presbyterian and she died very quickly without any chance to really put anything down on paper. So they gave her a Catholic funeral. And we were like, I said, wait, she's not Catholic. This is going to be interesting. At 12 noon, while this thing is going on, the bells start going off while the preacher or the priest is talking. And the whole time he's talking, you can't hear anything. And he's trying to talk about how great my aunt was. And gong, 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 gong. And I'm holding back laughter. My dad is so mad at me. He keeps looking at me because and I keep telling Dad, come on, it's funny. She was a prankster. She liked to make jokes. Like she loved the fact that I was a comedian and would always tell me the worst jokes. Not like in a sense of like gross, it's just like awful, like dad jokes or whatever, you know, that she really, I want I got some material for you. Yeah. But I loved her for it because she was so sweet about it. But yeah, so I just couldn't help but laugh. I was like, she's laughing. And I even told them, I was like, you know, your mom she would laugh if she knew to hear that during that the bells kept going off the whole time. It's so wild,
man. So colonoscopy, what was that like? I haven't had one yet.
Oh my God, dude! Well, get ready because you're about that time.
I'm knocking on the door.
It was. You don't want to skip those either, man.
No, you really don't.
I've had some family members that skipped it, and it ended up being way worse later. Yeah,
he put it off for and things 25 years, and he had now like being 75 and having all those surgeries. It's been hell on him. But
I can't wait for mine.
Yeah, look, man. All right, so I'm a fat guy, and I've always, you know, how do I put this? I'm good at interactions with females on my terms, you know, and I felt very vulnerable at the hospital on knowing all of these people are doctors. But just when I don't like being put under. It's the same way as I don't like going to like a nail salon for pedicures, manicures, and I don't understand the language of the people around me because it's just like I know my insecurity is telling me that you're making fun of me. Right. You know?
You can tell a lot of the time too that they are.
And so I felt really worried. And then they bring me into the anesthesia room. They have me ready, the procedure room. And it's all dudes. And I go, oh, okay. I don't have anything to worry about at all. You know, and if they're into me, then it's whatever.
Right.
And then I'm not exaggerating this. The most beautiful nurse I've ever seen in my entire life walks into the door. She goes, "Hey, I'm your endoscopy nurse.
The Blink-182 nurse.
I wanted to talk to you, like, you know, the perfect, like my type in every way, perfect punishment from God for all of my transgressions." and I just go, "Oh my God, no!" And I'm panicking. I'm starting to. They're like, "Oh, I'm watching my heart rate go up on the monitor."
That's fucking right.
And the anesthesia guy, he goes, "All right, we're gonna go ahead and get it started." He puts this milk white substance, like, you know, and it hit, and he goes, "All right, you get ready to start counting back from." And I never got to start counting. He said 1 hunt, and I was gone. I was in a dark place, and then I'm waking up, and she's wheeling me. I'm on my side. My ass is like hanging out. They're like pulling my dress down. They're wheeling me to this room full of other people that have had like gastrointestinal areas. So it's all places where you got to fart.
Right.
So it's a room full of people farting. And I'm so fucked up still that I look at her and I go, "Look, what you saw was my bad side. This is my good side." I was like, this is the side you want to see. And I kept telling everybody I was a comic. I told them to come to my show at Rally Cap. A couple of them did show up. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, I remember, dude, I had like this terrible experience one time. I didn't have insurance. It was in my early 20s and something happened. I think I got fired from my job or something happened. I got really like distressed. And so then I just started like barfing and shitting all over myself in the middle of the night and could not stop. So I got to the point where for an hour or more, I had just been like dry heaving and just like nothing was coming. I was drained. And finally I called my friends like, "Dude, you got to take me to the hospital." So he had to take me to Earl K. Long. And I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, I'm very familiar with Earl K. Long. Yeah.
All right. So this was early 2000s. And they bring me over there, and I'm having to have this interview with this nurse, and I'm sitting there. It's never happened to me in my life, and I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to explain what's happening to me, and then in the middle of talking to her, I just shat myself. I mean, like not in like a big piles of shit hanging out of but I soiled myself while trying to explain to her I can't stop soiling myself. And then one of my only other memories from that is at some point, very long after I had been there, I'm in a gurney in a hallway, and this big dude just walks up to me, rolls me over on my side. I'm in a gown, so it's open on the back. Just rolls me over. I don't remember if he really even explained anything that he was going to do. And he just wham, suppository right up the ass, no warning. And
for all you know, he doesn't even work there.
He 100%.
He might could have just
yeah, dude. And then because that's the only way they can get you to keep it down or keep it in you. And so they hell yeah, dude. That was the
I would like a little bit of explanation, like, hey, we're gonna do this.
Well, what I noticed was that if you go into a place like that where you don't have insurance and you're there because something's going on, there are a lot of assumptions that they make about you, about how you ended up there. And they have a very strong sense of like, you don't deserve the same dignity that a person with health insurance does.
Or like, oh yeah, well, you'll just be back here again.
100%. So there was a very like dismissive, hostile.
They just assume that you have bad life.
Well, I don't want to.
This is your fault.
Choices.
I don't want to keep adding to the sadness of the ROK loan, but I had a cousin who got into a car accident, and they didn't check him for triage, and he died waiting to get help at ROK Long. He was one of the last like big cases where they were like, we got to shut this place down.
Oh, wow. And when was that?
God,
roughly.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, it had to have been like, I mean, it was, I'd have to look it up. I can't really remember what year he passed away. I want to think, I keep wanting to say it was like 2013, somewhere between 2011, 2013.
Pretty much everything that's had anything to do with the Long family was shit.
Yeah.
Even that fucking bridge sucks, dude.
It's a terrible. Terrible legacy.
Like, no wonder they fucking shot that guy.
Well, it's just old, dude. It's just old as hell.
There's an engineer right now crying.
No wonder
I did a good job.
They shot that fucking communist.
Well, also, you can't.
Stupid bridge.
You can't trust anybody, any drivers in this state. I mean, I experienced it on the way here, and then also just imagining the people that drive on the road driving a boat.
Yeah.
I've seen some terrifying boat collisions as someone who grew up like with my parents hunting and fishing and stuff. Like, people get shit faced out on the river, and they're not patrolling the rivers like out in the middle of nowhere, like where we were boating and shit at. Like,
if you want to have to pull, like, if you're for commercial use, like if you're working for if you're doing something, someone's making money, right? And you need to pull, say a trailer with a small, like 30 horsepower tractor on it, you have to have like a CDL. You have to have a certain type of truck. You have to have like those metal bars on the back window. Like, there's all this stuff to be legal on the road. But like, anyone with a driver's license can go buy like an RV bus and hook a fucking yacht behind it, and they just let you drive. They don't even check to see, like, do you know how to drive this shit?
I saw a dude with a what was it? What are they called? The big ass dualies, the diesels, like with like the four wheels on the back. Like, he was pulling a big ass yacht, and he was going, I mean, had to have been 90. I was going 80, and he blasted past me. And it was just like on 10. I was like, man, if you hit somebody, they are dead.
Have you tried to stop? That fucking boat's pushing you.
I always think of that crazy video, that one dude with the trailer that just ramped like between the two parts of the Atchafalaya Bridge and just went into the water.
Oh, I didn't even. I'm not.
You can find it's. I've seen it on TikTok a bunch of times where they're just like, Louisiana drivers be like,
So whenever I encounter like the comics here that have a lot of experience, I know we talked last time a lot about this stuff, but I'm curious if anything has changed about your immediate plans for like the next year or so. Because I know that like Tyler talks about how he has this act, and he's trying to, we asked him where his growth curve was when he was here recently. And he talked about just getting a little bit more time, and trying to reach a certain threshold there. And so I'm curious, do you have Do you have any sort of like big master plan for the next, I don't know, say couple years of like what you're trying to do comedically?
Well, I mean, honestly, it really comes down to like the health of my dad and how things go with him right now. Like my number one concern is to just keep an eye on him. I'm doing a little bit more shows now because I'm not working a regular job because when he was going through the surgery, he needed somebody there all the time. So I've just been like doing comedy and door dashing if I needed a little extra scratch just to get by. But I've had enough in savings and stuff to help me get through at the moment. I was going to go back to school, but then I talked myself out of it last minute because I didn't want to take out a student loan right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I had a lot of stuff because I was like feeling stagnant sitting at my dad's house, but with comedy wise, like I have 30 solid minutes that I have worked on for like over this whole process. And I have 45 minutes that I'm working on. And I've got a couple of new jokes that might come in and might not, but like I'm still trying to build that hour, my own first hour. Like all of us are trying to do.
Yeah.
But I do feel that I have a solid 30-minute act. Like I feel like I could go up on stage and walk off at 30 minutes I wouldn't need a time. I could just do it. Yeah. Same with my 15. I could walk up and do 15 and walk off. I didn't even time myself at Mike's show on Thursday. I just went up and did my set. When I walked off, I was like, how much time did I do? And I looked down at my phone and I was like, oh, okay. So I did about 15. And I was like, great. So it felt good.
So are you submitting to festivals?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't submitted to any of them yet because a lot of them I'm waiting for the signups, the ones that I'm going to. I'm going to try to sign up to a lot of the free ones, but I usually just drop the $20 for the paid ones. I feel like I might get in, but who knows? Maybe that's the scam.
Yeah. We've talked about that a lot, like speculating, but ultimately we always end up in the same place that you got to pull the trigger if you can swing it.
I was trying to hit up some shows in Florida for this because I wanted to go further, like go to Florida while it's cold outside. But they were pretty booked up for November and December. So Ken Edwards and myself, we were talking about like doing a little duo thing and going out there in January. So we've reached out to like Olivia and a lot of and she gave us a great list of comics to contact in Florida. So we're just going to do that. I mean, obviously I'll still keep trying to do shows in Houston and I don't know. I keep telling myself like I have friends in Austin, but it just seems so heavily saturated and everything's so like there's so many big names. It just feels like it'd be impossible to get in on shows unless you know somebody.
People keep like if you keep listening to podcasts, people that are there keep recommending like, oh, come here.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, but that's what they all do. Like these big cities, they become known for their comedy scenes. It's just a dog pile.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I guess
I just don't think I have name recognition enough yet to get in. Like eventually, I think I could do it. I have the skills. If I had the chance, I wouldn't fail. That I feel that way for sure.
Very cool. That's kind of how I feel like with Joshua moving to Houston.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have other reasons why I'm not moving to Houston, but for just talking about comedy, I think I would stay here and get a little bit more of a name and then move to Houston. But I think when he moved over there, he knew enough people and he had enough of a name where he can move over there and get to go up,
Yeah. I'm going to try to rob him next time I go through Houston.
I think you should.
When he first got over there, I think one of the things he encountered was like, wow, okay, this is really cool. I'm glad I did this. But like just some challenges. Like he always has such a great attitude in the way that he presents all the information. But as I was paying close attention to the way that he was explaining, I was like, okay, so that's definitely something you're taking a chance when you relocate out there. And just some of the norms are different out there. And like, for example, we don't typically have to deal with going and signing up for a mic and then worrying that we won't even get on stage that night. But that's clearly something
that happened to me in Austin several times because I was just visiting my mom and I was like, I'm gonna try to get in on some of these mics. And the sign up list, they had cutoffs, and that's why when I was running the mic at the station, I wanted really bad to do cutoffs because, I mean, honestly, it's a Wednesday night. Nobody hates any more than being like, "Are we still running comics past 11:30?" It's like I have to be at work in the morning, and I want to be an ally to the comedy scene. But at a certain point, we're all just tired.
Yeah, the audience is tired if they're even still there.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so I think 16 to 20 is like a good cutoff. If you do 20, you got to give 3 to 4 minutes. I think 3 minutes is better for 20, but 15, 16 comics, 5 minutes a piece would be a good solid set.
Yeah. Garrett was here. He was saying that he can't even remember the last time the comics got 5 minutes over there. Just because the volume's too high.
Yeah.
But, I think it'd be cool, and maybe once a month or something like that to go out there and make a trip to do the station.
Yeah, I haven't been.
It's funny. The last couple of times, I feel kind of like it's kind of a dick move, but I just go up there and I just do 5 minutes.
You gotta watch Rusty. He'll just turn the music up on you. But you're getting
I like
away
how
with it.
2 minutes ago he was saying how they need to cut it off.
Yeah. Except for me, of course.
It's the station.
Yeah.
It's only when I'm hosting. That's what I said. Look, I'll be the first person to tell you that I'm a walking contradiction. But that's because I'm trying to be famous one day so that I can be that person.
Right, of course. Yeah. You got your now you, and then you got the you're trying to be,
dude,
of course.
I'm going to be a horrible rich person, but I will be great for TV.
We were talking about that. We were talking about whether narcissism is good for comedy, and we very quickly concluded that it works really well for scripted comedy, but stand-ups, it's a little different. So yeah, there are definitely things that work and don't work.
Well, if you're going to be a narcissist comic, you have to approach it the same way that a wrestler would.
Yeah,
you have to just
Dice.
you become a character and you cut promos, and that's what you do.
You have to be it's a caricature, it's such an exaggerated.
You
have to go all the way with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is what getting stoned. Oh my God, what was the dude that was I feel so bad because he's like one of my influences, and I can't even. His name is right there. He was the preacher's son that he yells and screams.
Kinnison.
Kinnison. Yeah. Thank you, Sam Kinnison. Yeah. Him. He was just but he had a head injury, so maybe I should get a head injury.
Yeah.
I've had a couple. I've had 3 in my life.
I was about to say, dude, you 38, you said? You haven't had a head
Well, me
injury
and my
yet?
friends, we idolized.
Not even 11, bro.
We were big into the Jackass community when they were CKY and stuff. Yeah. So we had a show called Bored, and it was just a bunch of us doing. And I was always the one getting knocked unconscious on camera. We have 3 concussions that I can remember.
Dude.
Yeah,
that's intense.
Yeah, I know it's not fun. It's not good. CTE is a real issue.
I rode in a dryer. We got a new dryer when we were all roommates. So the old dryer, we took the drum out. And I got in it, and somebody pulled me around with a four-wheeler around the yard. We go in on the road at one point. There was fucking, sparks flying and shit. And then, we knew the people across the street. In fact, it was my godfather lived across the street. Yeah. His wife's cutting grass, and we went in the yard and did circles around there. And she's y'all yelling at us. Pecans are hitting me in the head and shit.
Oh, nice.
But it was, we ended up, the way it ended though. So he would turn real fast, flip me over several times, so I'd fly out of it. But they had one of those small ditches in the yard, and they caught it square.
Oh shit!
So then it went to flip it, and my foot was stuck in the motor.
Oh fuck!
And then it ended up my head hit the ground first, and then the dryer hit me and kept going.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah, dude. Everyone thought I was so fucking cool that day.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say dead.
Yeah, dude. Well, that was so funny.
Yeah, first both. Yeah.
They did, yeah. They came check my vitals and everything.
Jesus.
But it was slow getting up.
Yeah,
yeah, dude. Somebody bought me a 5th of whiskey that day.
You definitely still feel that to this day. There's a crick or something when you get out of bed, and it's from that. Trust me.
I'm sure there's something lingering physically or mentally.
Oh man. So I did want to talk about this. So I bombed recently.
Okay, let's hear
It wasn't what you would consider a total bomb because I didn't walk out like I recovered.
Mm-hmm.
But I did Josh's show at the Covington Country Club.
Okay.
All right. Half of the crowd, like the right half of the crowd, which is funny. My last name's right. They were younger. They were on board with my comedy. There were 3 tables at the very front that you could see because of the lighting perfectly. And it was all old people. One of the women were like a Pentecostal. One of the old man the whole time, hands so far up that he could rest his chin on his hands. He was so mad, bro. And it shook me. Josh saw it when I'm going through my set and I'm expecting laughter and I hear laughter over here, but there's dead silence. And I would lock eyes with that old man. And it felt like my pawpaw was staring at me from beyond the grave, like, with disappointment. And every time I would try to say something crass or crude or whatever one of my jokes are, I'd look back at pawpaw. And you could tell, like, he paid money to be here. And so he was upset. And I don't like to, when I'm doing I want everybody to at least walk away and say they laughed at least once. But no, I failed. I failed so bad. And I was the first one up. And then Brandon Haynes did well. He had a couple of like snickers and chuckles. Delisa Nichols, she did her jokes, killed everywhere. That guy got a couple of smirks from him. Then Laura Sanders went up and she got him a couple of times, but they didn't want to be there or laugh. You had to try and pull it slowly out of them, but there was nothing I could have said to recover.
Well, so that's there's a lot to unpack there. So it's a show at a country club. Is it a monthly showcase or is it just
it's a monthly showcase? Yeah.
Okay. And that's interesting to get that weird cross section of ages.
Yeah.
Is it a themed show? Like, is there anything about it?
It is a comedy show at this country club, but this is in Covington. So it's like you have the old Covington and then you have the new Covington, which is like the people from Mandeville and the ones that have followed no show comedy. These were people that clearly go to this country club and they thought, oh, comedy night, like Seinfeld.
Okay. Now that's something that I feel like we all come across a lot, is that everybody has different ideas of what comedy is. And you would never just go to a movie and be like, oh, we're going to movie night. So they're going to play some movie there, and whatever that movie is, it's going to be great. Movie night. Let's go.
I forgot. Here's one of the kickers. All right. Josh hosts. Okay. Well, he brought his kids to the show.
Is that the one he's posted recently?
Yeah, so he had his kids. His son did a joke, and his daughter brought him on stage and stuff. So they had to be brought to the back once I went on stage. And I was like, are the kids going? Okay, now the show. So people were already like, there are kids here. And this guy is like talking about his grandmother giving people blowjobs and stuff. Like, it was not a good night for them.
That's so interesting, but just to go back to that, the movie thing is just an example of oh, there's going to be a rock concert.
Yeah.
So whoever's playing, I'm sure is going to be great. Let's go check them out. No, people go to see once they know what the deal is.
Yeah.
And so it's just always so funny to me that with comedy, they don't realize that there's just as much nuance in comedy as there is in any other art form.
My mom has a friend, and this lady was like, oh, I should come see one of your shows. I love comedy. And she said her favorite comedian was Bill Engvall. And I was like, I don't know if you're going to like what I do.
Dude, these people were so old that their favorite comic was Buster Keaton. Like, like that's how freaking old this dude was. Yeah, man. I was like, God, I'm sorry. He probably didn't even want me to talk. Like, I should have had cards that I just draw.
The lady that cut my hair yesterday, she went to one of the Bobby Kelly shows. And she said she didn't like him because he was mean to the audience. And I was like, he's joking, or he's not being mean. Oh, and I told her, I was like, well, I'll tell you, what I would tell you is when someone comes to town like that, when it's announced the person's name, go find out, like, go look on YouTube, go kind of figure out what they do so because there's so many different types of comedy out there that, go see if it's something you like before you pay $40 for a ticket to go watch it, Because the people that know about him, they want him to do that thing he's doing,
Right. Yeah. So you're at this show. So you considered it a bomb, but some of the people were liking it and some of them weren't. So what do you think caused you to be so preoccupied with the people in the front?
I think it's because I could see their faces.
Yeah,
that like I could see their faces, and it's been a long time since I had a show that was not since it was that bad, because Josh and I on another show we were together. We were in Harahan, where it was a Saints game. It was a day game, and the show was later. And so while we're waiting for people to show up, we watched 5 drunk drivers pull in, and I went, "Oh my god!" Like the whole car were full of drunk people, completely drunk drivers, and I was like, "Oh, I know how this is gonna go." And they were antagonistic. They heckled everyone. One guy tried to fight one of the comics before me and Josh. Like, it was a nightmare. Yeah. And so then like this like brought those feelings back up, because it's been a long time since I had bombed. Like it's been a long time, 5-6 years easily since I had like bombed. So I felt like this was a bomb because it was like, yes, all the younger people, but I backtracked. Like I got scared on stage and felt it, and I tried to PG up my jokes on the fly. I was trying to recover and should have just barreled down and said fuck them. And and that's on me, and it happens. But it, like I said, I just got in the moment. That guy, he looked so much like my grandfather that I felt like he was like, I didn't want to disappoint him. I can't explain it. It was like a guttural thing. Like,
and we do really want them to like what we're doing. So much.
I don't want them to be mad and be like, I never want to come back here again because of this guy. But
right.
Man, I can tell you one thing. If I'm ever doing a show and some drunk person in the audience tries to fight me, I hope I'm doing a show with Josh Watson.
It was funny because Josh was
like, I will be okay.
The guy kept trying to get up and walk towards the comic, and the comic was like, if he had his phone recording the whole thing, like on a phone stand, and he was like, if you take one more step towards me, I'm going to hit you with this microphone stand. And then Josh goes, it's really good that you're recording the set, because I feel like you're definitely going to want to record this. Like, this is a moment you're definitely going to want to record. But luckily the guy just eventually just backed off. But everyone was belligerent in that the whole crowd. It was crazy. I had never seen that many people pull up drunk to a comedy show. But then when I realized that the Saints game was at 11 o'clock and they won, so it was like, oh yeah, the whole town.
Yeah, just think how bad it'd be if they had lost.
If they had lost, they wouldn't even showed up to the show. I've seen that happen. I've seen like an LSU Saints loss turn a show. People just don't. You just be walking around New Orleans, be like, where the fuck is everybody? Oh, they're depressed at home.
There's guns in their mouths.
Yeah, we're just one of those states, man. Especially down here in the southern part of it. We're so attached to our football teams that if you're a local entertainer around here, you just know where you stand.
Yeah, it's like Varsity Blues.
Yeah,
but everywhere, like Yeah. But look, LSU Baton Rouge is the worst. There are people that want to watch comedy that go to these shows in like Mandeville and all the and then out here in like Lafayette and stuff. The crowd wants to be here. They want to see this. People will buy tickets for a Baton Rouge show and show up and be like, what's going on? And you're like, you wanted this. Like, or they'll just people, or they'll be regulars and they get pissed off because they're wanting to watch a game. And so then they'll complain. And because they're regulars, the venue will be like, well, we'll just keep this one TV on.
Right.
And it's like, no, we're doing a comedy show here. Fuck these guys.
Yeah. I encountered that constantly in music. We would go and it'd be like there's a place in Prairieville. You might be familiar. It's on the Half Shell.
Yeah.
Okay. So they do music pretty much every night of the week. And for a person to show up in that sort of like 6 to 9 o'clock range and be upset or surprised in any way that there's like a loud band playing in the room makes absolutely no sense. But they didn't stop it from happening. And they can't help it. The one person that's complaining, that's who they're going to cater to. And so we would be told, can you just please turn it down, that table over there? And they give you dirty look. They really want to make sure that you know that they are unhappy with you. So I don't know if that's just always the way it is everywhere.
I think that's the way it is with these sports towns.
Yeah.
Like when it's not like that in Lafayette.
Yes, it's
Like they don't care about sports
Right.
as much. Like, you know, we've had very successful shows on LSU games.
Mm-hmm.
Like out because people don't really care.
Yeah, it depends where you are, but you're right. You can if you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Then
Baton Rouge is just not the place.
No.
That is LSU, like Central. That is where they are. Like, it's just
my stepdad to this day fucking hates one of my friends. Like if someone brings this guy's name up, he'll turn red. He gets so angry. And all it was the one time they met. It was during LSU. It was an LSU Alabama game, and Alabama did something good. So my friend started cheering. But he was being an asshole. He was because he doesn't care that much. So he was just doing it to piss off other people, which is kind of fucked up. But I mean, to be that angry after so many years is so wild, so crazy to me over a fucking game.
Have you seen the soccer hooligans that try to fight a 7-year-old kid? Dude, that's video's been on the internet. Like they are screaming and cussing him down like a dog, and this kid's just like 0-1, bitch. Like,
damn. Yeah, that's I try not to lean. I used to be really kind of obnoxious about just like dragging people for caring about it that much, but I just don't give a shit anymore. But
I only care about wars.
I mean, I
underneath all that stuff, that's why they really care.
I still like football. Like I'll watch. I'm way more preoccupied with comedy.
Yeah,
but I still like watching football. I enjoy the game. I enjoy like being a fan of a team. But it's supposed to be fun. So like if my team doesn't win, okay, it doesn't fuck up my day at all. And other people it does. That's a crazy thing to me. Is like football is supposed to be a fun thing. So if you lose, you're like, oh well.
Yeah.
You know?
I miss American Gladiators. That was a great show.
I peaked in the 90s, huh?
Oh yeah, like you got Carl, a textile worker from Indiana, is going to try to take on Blazer and Laser and and Tombstone and Shakira and this crazy shit. I love that show. My dad loved it, so I would watch it with him. But we used to watch like early UFC when it would be like, this is Tank Abbott, a 365-pound redneck with no fighting experience versus Hoist Gracie. It's like just
and there's like no rules almost too. They just like kill
no
the other
groin
person.
punches and no eye gouging and no biting. That's it.
Yeah.
3 rules. But there was no weight class either. So you just see these crazy shit. Like those are great days.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great days. That's why Chuck Liddell was so badass.
I used to
watch
watch
at the beginning and end of that. Like,
I watched Judge Mathis with my dad. Yeah, we had an antenna. He has an antenna.
Do you remember the claymation fighting celebrity death match?
I love that shit
With Judge Mills Lane. Let's get it on. Oh, that was great. I miss those. I wish celebrities fought more. Celebrity boxing was cool.
Yeah.
Almost like a mandatory thing.
Yeah, I think all washed up comedians should have to fight each other for
Hunger Games style.
Yes, the laughter games.
Dude, so washed up comics. Whenever I was playing music, we would always see like the casinos would bring in people that at a certain stage in their career where you're looking at them on the billboard, and you're like, oh man, how the mighty have fallen. Is it the same way for comics with the casinos? Like when you do the casino circuit, it seems like it would be better for a comic than it would.
No, I think that I personally think the casinos are like one of the best ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only because of the fact that a lot of the times you're dealing with tickets through the casino and not through Ticketmaster.
Mm.
And if you listen to the podcasts where like big comedians and stuff, a lot of these guys are over dealing with Ticketmaster and Eventbrite and all this bullshit because they price gouge like fucking crazy people.
What fucks it up is they allow resale.
Yeah.
Like anybody can buy tickets and sell. Like that's what price gouges them. People go and buy up a bunch of tickets and then they turn around and sell them.
Yeah.
So it drives up the cost of tickets, and Ticketmaster just lets people do it, you know? They just let people sell tickets after they bought them from them.
Didn't Taylor Swift trying to figure out a way to bypass Ticketmaster or something at some point? She was going to develop some new platform.
I don't know. She doesn't talk to me anymore.
You're the problem.
Yeah. She's got one about me, dude.
So, yeah, I think Louis did that. Louis is sort of known for like bypassing some of the establishment and going directly to his customers a lot. I
specifically heard in one of his more recent podcasts, Shane Gillis complain about it, like just saying that there needs to be a better way to do this because, it's crazy how much they charge us and how little they get, like, as the performers.
Right.
So that the casinos are just a way for them to guarantee themselves more money.
Yeah. I know Tom Segura.
A lot of times you have a place to stay there.
Yeah.
They give you food vouchers and shit. So it's just.
And then a comedian is one fucking person. It's not a band with 7 people in it. There's not a bunch of equipment to haul around. It's just a fucking guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's awesome.
It should not cost as much as go and see a big rock band that's got fucking 18-wheelers and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It should definitely be more affordable.
You got to be real decisive when it comes to buying those kind of tickets. You got to know from the beginning that as soon as they go on sale, you're buying them. Because if you try to be like me, a lot of times like wait and see, I always end up paying way too much to go see comics.
Yeah, you almost have to like if there's a way where you can if they pre-sale tickets before they actually like go on sale or when they go on sale, like buy them right fucking away.
Yeah, I think I did that with Nate Bargatze when he came to Baton Rouge. The only time I've ever seen Tom Segura live is when he was on that tour with Rogan and Chappelle when they came and did that makeup show at the Smoothie King Center.
Okay.
And so I didn't know he was going to be, and then he just like all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Segura, and he comes out like, yeah, and like what was really funny is that significant number of the people in there didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you here, but you don't know Tom Segura? But that was just clearly I was the one that
but
didn't get it.
It is crazy though, because every now and then, like right now, I will just discover a comedian one day that's like wildly famous, and then I'll talk and y'all will all know the person. And it's like, how the fuck did I miss it? And especially, and then I'll find out like, oh yeah, they do a lot of shit with all these other comedians that I listen to all their podcasts. I follow all these people. How the fuck did I miss this person?
Oh, for
sure. You know what I mean? But it's like, I guess there's just so many people that...
there's just a lot that you will pick up in life and a lot you'll forget. I've forgotten more things than I've ever learned.
That's so true. But the thing with the comics that I find interesting is that on the one hand, it's like there's a comedy renaissance going on and there's so many comics. But on the other hand, what I hear a lot of the big ones say on their podcasts lately, it's been a recurring thing, is that what is there only like 100 people? There's only like 100 of us. Like there's only a small number of people that are kind of at the top of the game that are like, they do this for a living. They don't have to supplement with anything else.
I think
this is
more.
their deal.
Oh,
there's more. There's just because there are road comics.
I think, but there's definitely way more earning a living. But I think they're talking about just on the like Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, where they're making fucking
Rogan's
retarded money.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Most comics, even the comics that are doing well, I don't think a lot of them are making that or doing that well.
Yeah. Yeah, they must be talking about the most elite version of it.
Because a lot of comedian, like a lot of your favorite comedians are living in fucking apartments and shit. You know?
I think what they're talking about, there's like 100 of us that have 2 houses. We live in 2 cities and stuff like.
Yeah, I don't. We were talking about this. We recently had Brendan Robards on, and we were talking about how he mentioned a quote from Luis J. Gomez about how you should just expect to just suck for your first 10 years. And that's something that I had heard enough times before I ever stepped on stage for the first time, that when I started doing this, I was 100% committed. Like, not like I'm going to sabotage myself, but I'm going to suck for the first 10 years. And that's going to be the way that it is. And I was mentally prepared to suck. But Drew's heard me say this before. I was not mentally prepared to be like, oh yeah, you will suck, but you will be starting off in comedy with other people who won't suck right from the beginning, and you'll have to, like, your peers will be like moving so much faster.
Oh, dude,
in some cases.
Think about this. I started in 2015. This was at like the height of like when the station was having headliners. So I started 8 years ago. I started at 30 years old. I was like, I hate my life. Like, what am I going to do? Let's do comedy. So I got to see the beginning pop of like Jason and like Josh, Chase Myers, Mike Honore, when they were all coming to open mics all the time.
Yeah.
And they were like so good. Howard Hall, like stuff like just, and you were like, wow.
Right.
Like, and I'm just trying to, like, the first 2 times I ever tried to do stand up, I tell people all the time, I chickened out because I watched people kill, and then I watched these 2 new guys bomb, and the host tore them apart so bad. I was like, I can't go up. I was terrified.
Dude, I'm so grateful that the Lafayette scene is as nurturing as it is, because I think that it would be hard enough to suck without then being ripped.
Yeah, it was hard in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, Omar Finley, he wore shorts to a comedy show and got ridiculed for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. He could not live that down. He had to start his own comedy show, No Show Comedy with Terrence and them, because he got ostracized because of the jokes that people were making about his shorts.
Oh my God.
Like shorts.
That's over the top.
Took him out of the comedy for like a year.
That's so funny. A lot of people wear shorts now, but I know it is. It's still a thing. Like,
yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah. I think you guys gave me a hard time the other day because my ankles were showing.
Well, yeah. Well, that's just because you have like a grade school teacher's ankles. Like,
that's just because you're like a lady. That's not a comedy law or rule. It's not a comedy thing.
No, Michael, it's just your ankles.
Yeah.
Well, you also wear like this, like, the cuffs, like they're smaller straight leg pants. So it's just, when you see it, you're just like, I'm not used to.
Yeah.
If I mostly see women's ankles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Somebody was giving Tom a hard time on his pod, Tom Segura. They were like, oh yeah, man, you're one of those rich dudes. You're one of those dudes with your ankles out. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Drew's wearing boots, cowboy boots right now.
Yeah. I was wearing mine last night.
Like a fucking man.
Just a good old boy.
Dude, I went, I don't know what kind of jeans are these?
I might start dipping on this podcast. I think they're Wranglers.
Are they? Okay, so they're boot cut, right?
No, these are just like regular fit.
Yeah, but they fit well around your boots, though.
But they're not the boot cuts. Kind of sometimes they'll be tighter on the legs, and then they flare out at the bottom for the boot. But these are supposed to be pretty much the same all the way.
Those are workman's boots, workman's pants.
I went and bought a pair of jeans. I went and looked at all these different jeans so I could wear boots, because I've had these 2 different pairs of Tecovas for a while, and I don't really wear them because like all of these thin fitting pants they don't look good. So I went Wednesday or Thursday and bought a pair, and I was like, these are too expensive. Like, this is ridiculous. You got to have a pair of jeans that's just for your boots, and then you also got to pay out the ass for them. So I don't know how, like, working just normal people go and buy.
I mean, I'm a big person, so I only buy like the stretchy pants because they used to be used for like stuntmen.
Maternity.
So, they were called kick pants. And Chuck Norris used to advertise for them back in the 80s.
Kick pants.
So that they could do all their karate while wearing jeans. And I was like, that's going to be the pants I'm going to wear for the rest of my life. Little did I know it was because of obesity and not because of karate.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons, like, a lot of guys wear like the skinny jeans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I won't wear that because you never know. Like, what if I have to get in a fight?
Yeah, like, I mean, you see Tyler wearing those skinny jeans. He can't run nowhere.
Yeah.
There's no getting away. He
can't kick either.
No. He's just
That's why he likes lightsaber fighting, because there's no kicking in that.
I mean, they would still kick him. Let's be honest.
That's true.
There's no lightsaber combat that's going to save him from getting his ass kicked.
Oh, so
or pull out an actual real weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, Tyler has a sword the whole
just slap
time.
Him. Just slap the shit out of him.
It's funny that you say that, because in my back seat right now, there's a ninja sword in my back seat.
A real one?
A real one.
Oh, that's cool though.
With a sharp blade?
Yeah.
Dude,
so,
you know-
all right. So my dad, when I got my first black belt, he went and got like a full Tang ninja sword and gave it to me. It was like, you have your own, you have to be careful. And it just hung on my wall forever. Well, I don't have any kids, and my goddaughter, she is working towards her black belt. So I gave her my original black belt.
Mm-hmm. Wait,
And
which art?
Taekwondo.
Okay.
So I gave her, that was the first thing I did. And so I gave her my Taekwondo black belt and told her to work towards her black belt. Now she's in karate, but it's like, and I said, when you get your black belt, I'm going to give you this sword. And I brought it over and showed it to her and everything. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, I'm going to work so hard. And even her dad has told me, she's like, she's been out in the backyard practicing her kata and everything. I'm like, yes, I'm going to grow a warrior. And then when I give her this sword, she'll cut my head off and absorb all of my immortality.
You're going to be the only one.
Yeah, it's the quickening I do.
Dude, you know how badass it would be though? Like, if you had a buddy that really mastered like throwing ninja stars, like a beast, like that would be so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Edwards texted me the other day, and he's like, "I'm tripping balls, and I've been watching all the Highlander movies, and I'm on the show now." He's like, "Dude, I feel like a Highlander right now," and I was laughing my ass off. I was like, "Dude,
is so
you're the
funny.
only guy that I could ever imagine be like, I'm off today. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take 7 hits of acid. I'm watching everything Highlander.
I'm going to climb into the television too."
Ken, yeah, he's you guys are you got some talks about doing some shows together, is that right?
Like, so basically we a couple of weeks ago I hit up like Olivia. I can't remember how to pronounce her last name. I think it's
Cersei.
Cersei,
right?
Yeah, Cersei, like the evil witch. I don't have to remember that. But she like pointed me in the direction. She does a show, but she had some openings, but we want to get more shows. And so instead of just driving down for 1 or 2 shows, we're going to try to get 4 or 5. So
yeah,
we're going to hit up she was just like, contact these people. And they were like, contact me in, late November, and we'll get it all set up. They put me down on some papers. So, I mean, I'm just going to try to do as many shows as I can where it's warm outside instead of trying, because I don't want to go back up to Chicago in the middle of November or December and be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
It killed me. It was so cold, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't even snowing outside. It was just so fucking windy.
I remember walking in Boston in January on the streets of like the downtown area.
Yeah.
And the ice on the concrete was enough to make my toes absolutely throb and ache.
I had shoes rip apart before in the ice and had to buy new shoes. And I was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Because of the salt in the ice and just standing still for too long, just ripped a hole out of my fucking nice dress shoes I had.
Yeah. I bought the car under the carport out there. I flew to Chicago and bought that from a Honda dealership, secondhand, and got a really good deal on it. And I took it home. The first thing I had to do when I got it up on the rack was neutralize all of the rust from how they salt the roads for the ice. It's insane. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that most of the cars, like I know a lot of dudes that buy like classic cars, like they won't buy them from certain regions because of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's so aggressive, and so the snow's got to be bad for them to be willing to do something such a pain, because they have to do it like every day, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I've never lived in that atmosphere because I've always thought that they were insane people.
In New York,
digging your car out every day like a fucking idiot.
For real, dude. In Long Island, I was there through a whole winter from like October to April, and it was the first time I'd ever experienced anything like that. And you had to dig your car out in the hotel parking lot every day. And every day somebody would walk out there and bust their ass. They wouldn't be able to walk the 20 feet from the sidewalk to the car.
Oh, yeah. It's so dangerous. Ice falls. Ice falls will get, they'll mess you up. Like, people get messed up bad.
Dude. It's like falling off a short ladder. That's like the worst thing you could do.
I can't imagine. Like, I get it. People complain all the time. I can't believe it's summertime, it's raining, springtime. I got to cut my grass once a week. It's like, yeah, but imagine having to shovel your entire driveway, your front door step at 4 a.m. for an hour and a half, 2 hours before you can even start getting ready for work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the heat is just discomfort.
Yeah.
Cold is pain.
Yeah.
Well,
cold is legitimate pain.
I do. I'm not joking when I say I do love to be in the cold, when it comes to just being in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
I could live up north if I was rich because I would pay people to do the things that I don't want to do.
That's the thing. I wouldn't be able. I would be like, it would be the equivalent of me being like severely handicapped.
Yes.
Because when that's the thing. When it gets cold,
you ain't
your
got no meat
fingers
on
don't
your
work.
bones, dude.
Your fingers don't work or anything.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got
So
no
it
meat on
sucks.
your bones,
Like,
dude. I survive.
Like a lot of people, I know all these women that work inside and shit, and they're like, I love the winter time. It's like, yeah, bitch, because you sit in your house by a fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. You love the winter because you don't go in it.
Yeah.
You like to look at it through the window, you know?
My wife is a hardcore summer loving heat. They actually try to spend they spent the night in a tent in the backyard last night just for the fun of it because my daughter really wanted to do it. And I was really surprised. I came home from the show and I thought surely they're going to have come inside by the time I got home last night.
You think your daughter would have got scared?
I figured, no, I think you're right. I figured that they would have been uncomfortable.
Or just, this is dumb?
The cats wouldn't leave them alone the whole time. We have all these cats and they would not stop coming up to the tent like Blair Witch style and like fucking with the tent.
Making shadows.
Yeah. And so sure enough, I come home and like 3:30, I wake up to the sound of them punching in the numbers on the, there's a keypad to get into the back if you don't have a key. And sure enough, they came in at 3:30 and I talked to my wife this morning. She said that she laid there the whole time and could not sleep from like 9 something till like 3:30 in the morning. And finally she's just like, I can't take this anymore. So they came inside. Yeah. I want to do it with them. I'm really kind of mad they did it because it was their first time ever doing it.
I love doing that shit.
Yeah,
I've
I
done
want
it
to
with my kids before. Just slept in a tent like out in the
that's
yard.
Why anytime that I was on a family camping thing, it's always the dad that kept everybody, like, tried to jazz everybody up. He was the one having the most fun. So he's like, everybody, we're a camping experience. So you need the dad there because the mom and the daughter are just like, okay, we're here.
Right.
And the dad,
now what?
Dad's excited to cook and everything.
Yeah.
That's not for a wife. Cooking is not a fucking pastime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like for them, it's their responsibility. Like they cook to feed their family. Right. So when they don't have to cook, they're not gonna.
Yeah,
I mean, not saying that women don't enjoy cooking. Like my wife does enjoy cooking, but if we're camping or something like that, I'm cooking. You know what I mean? She's chilling.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to do it again with them this year. But anyway, I would have enjoyed being there the first time. But I'm kind of glad it was a colossal failure because now they're going to be appreciative when I'm there.
Exactly. That's the best part about it. Reap the benefits.
My kids used to have the fuss when we would go camping, but it would go camping with just dads and the kids and no moms. Mm-hmm. Dude, the kids have so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's pretty much no supervision. Mm-hmm. They're just off doing whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. We have no idea if they're harmed or what or safe or anything. I mean, the dads are hanging out drinking beer, you know. But the kids, they get as dirty as they want. Mm-hmm. They,
That's
but when the moms,
grew up.
when the mom's around though, the mom's always like, "What do the kids do?" And or like, "Hey, put that down. Don't climb that tree." You know.
Yep.
That's all they do.
Dads parent through sound. Mm-hmm. They keep their ears open and they do other things. Mm-hmm. And once they realize it's too quiet, that's when the alarm sets in and they get up and look around. You'll see a dad will do that. He'll be doing his own thing, watching TV, taking a nap or something. And he'll be like, too quiet. Let me look around. Okay. And then just go back to it. Moms are just like, they just gotta, but it's the same. You got to think about it. It's like in the wild. You see like a lion. He's just laying around. His kids are annoying him. He's like, get the fuck away from me. He's protecting the outside perimeter. The moms are like, what's going on? What's this? What's that? Like, you know.
When we were like 12 or 13, me and my cousin asked my dad one time, said, can we drag the trampoline to the side of the house and can we get on the roof and jump on the trampoline? Yeah. And he told us yes. He was like, yeah, I don't care. Like almost annoyed that we asked. He's like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. And then one day, my stepmom was home and we did it. And we would go like from one side of the house and run all the way across the house. And she came and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, are you crazy? I was like, my dad said I could do it. She's like, no, you absolutely cannot. It's like fucking pictures were falling off the walls and shit.
Oh my God.
She's like, no, you cannot jump off the top of the house on a trampoline. Like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know.
Just have fun.
Y'all are wild children. I would have never been like, I'm going to do this. Well, I mean, I guess I watched my cousin Heather very early on snap her femur by getting her leg caught and falling over the side. And I was like, all right, never again. Fuck trampolines. These are death. They are literal death prisons. Like,
I don't even have to go that far now. Like, not that long ago, I jumped on a trampoline for like probably a minute and a half, dude. And I thought like I might have to go to the hospital. I was like,
isn't that something?
like I didn't realize how much work it is to jump on a trampoline.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, dude. It's
dude. I went to one of those trampoline like places with my goddaughter for her birthday like a couple of years ago. And I thought I tore my ACL on a fucking goddamn trampoline. I was in so much pain.
Dude.
And I was just limping everywhere. Like, oh. And I knew I didn't tear it. Like, I sprained it because I could still kind of walk. But it hurt so bad for like weeks. I had to have a stupid-ass boot on my foot because of that.
Yeah, and then you have to tell the story when people ask.
Right?
Yeah.
Fucking trampoline.
Yeah.
I should just I need to have on hand just like some go-tos. Like, yeah, no, I had to kick a dude. Spinning sidekick, save a man's life.
We've all done that. A lot of injury. I think every man's done that at some point. Yeah.
So are there any comics that are coming to town that you're looking forward to seeing? Because I know like Tyler, for example, he's like not a John Mulaney fan necessarily. And we're kind of excited about maybe going to see John Mulaney. Is there anybody who you know of that's coming near here that you're looking forward to?
Honestly, I haven't. My big guys already came through, and unfortunately, I was so upset because I bought tickets and I couldn't even go. Was for Christopher Titus.
Oh
yeah, I had to miss that one too.
My dad was in surgery the whole time, and I couldn't justify leaving to go to a Titus show while he was under the knife. So
yeah, I mean, if something happens,
right?
Yeah.
Which one would you have wanted to see? Because I heard that the one in Lafayette was particularly good.
Oh, it's the Lafayette show. That's the one I was going to go to. Okay. I mean, all my friends are out there anyway, so it would have been like a kill two birds with one stone, hang out with Jason and them, get to see and meet Christopher Titus, shake his hand. Like his TV show was so big and influential in his early stand-up. We were very similar. We both had horrifyingly tragic lifestyles of like growing up, and we just to get through it, we joke about it. Like it's a crazy defense mechanism that also is kind of detrimental when you're dating and stuff like that, because you'll tell your life story in the form of a joke, and they'll be like shocked, and you'll be like, what's going on? I'll be like, oh no, it was just your traumatic life story you told as a joke that was like a shock to me just now. Like and that's like that kind of hurts you sometimes, but I get it. Like, he had the drunk dad. I my dad was a pretty straightforward guy, but my stepdad was kind of fucked up, and like, so there's a lot of stuff I used to get from his show. A lot of the no supervision, boys with no supervision. Like, I grew up, my parents would be like, go outside and don't come back until the street lights come on. And that's how we were. We were free range children. It was a neighborhood in Port Hudson, and they had a bunch of kids that were all my age, and we all just like terrorized this neighborhood. Like some of us started fires, other people, like, it was
at my dad's house. It was just pastures and rice fields and woods. So like you would get on a four-wheeler. We'd each get on a four-wheeler. We'd have fucking shotguns and shotgun shell. We'd have firearms. And we're on a thing that does 60 miles an hour, no helmets, and we would just leave and not come back for several hours.
And the kind of police wouldn't fuck with you or anything?
No, there were no cops in the country where I was at. They never drove around.
We wouldn't go like, well, we would, but we weren't supposed to. Like, you don't want to go on the highway.
Right. Yeah.
Technically, the gravel road is not legal, I think, but they don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're out here. So like they just don't care. I mean, I broke my collarbone when I was a kid because my buddy was on a four-wheeler and I was holding on to the back of it with rollerblades, and we were going 60 miles an hour, I think, or around probably not 60. It was probably like 40. It was very fast. And he hit this colossal pothole. and I didn't let go. My brain, I don't remember. I just remember him hitting it and it jerked down.
Yeah.
And I'm flipping through the air, according to everybody, and I land on my neck and go completely dead limp on the ground, like upside down, not breathing for a second. And when they throw my legs over, my collarbone was broken, like right there. And I felt it, and I went, oh! I woke up out of a dead, and I was just, my mom was going to kill me. I was writhing in pain the whole way to the hospital. She was so mad at me. Every bump, I'd be like, oh! She'd be like, you deserve it. You deserve it. What were you doing? I was skiing. But it's just like the board days we were talking about earlier, we used to take linoleum and we would wrap our feet in it and then duct tape it around our knees, and we would cover it in like grease and then hold on to a rope, and our buddy would pull us in an old like Toyota, like little single cab Toyota truck in a field. Or like late at night when the dew would set in, so you'd just be flying around, and then you'd like skiing, you'd let go, but there's no water. It's just ground. Yeah. It's just dirt and ground, and just I tell people all the time, the fact that I'm alive today is a miracle.
Wow.
The amount of like crazy shit I got into as a kid is outrageous.
Dude. So I guess I think what happened was like my dad was kind of like that. Like I have some early stories of some wild shit happening. But when my parents split, my mom, she had to work full time, and she moved us out to Houston. And I definitely had a lot of unsupervised time, but I think I played it a little safer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you're in the city. It's a little bit different than being out in the country where I grew up. My parents got divorced. I went from like Port Hudson, Louisiana, Jackson, Louisiana, in the country over there, to like Livingston Parish. Mm-hmm. So it was like next country over. And, it was the same shit out there, but it was worse because my dad was gone. He would just be like, here's some money. I'm going to be staying at my girlfriend's house. And then he worked shift work. Mm-hmm. So I was just a 16-year-old kid with like $500 a month of just, let's buy drugs
Pocket
and party.
Money, yeah.
Like, I would throw huge parties. I would throw huge freaking parties at my house, and I also sold porn.
What's the deal with that? What's the story there?
Okay, so my dad, when he
worked,
you'd
have been a killing, because
my dad
porn
worked
was
at
hard
the
to come by.
Yeah, and he would go and he had buddies that would get these programmable DirecTV chips that would unlock all channels on the satellite. So in the early 2000s, he would have a stack of these chips because every once in a while they'd fry it with a signal. You just put another one in, unlock all channels. So I would go to Walmart with some of this money my dad gave me, and I'd buy stacks of VHS tapes. Mm. And I would just go and record like all lesbian, blah, 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 or just go to the Vivid Entertainment channel, hit record, and just fill the tape up just in my other room. And then I would just do my thing. And I sold them at school for like $50-$60 a pop. And I mean, paid for so much of my life in high school through porn.
That's so funny. You didn't just take the 500 that you had and just spend it. You were an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and then we would do, because that's when like ecstasy raves were big in the early 2000s. So we would just go to these crazy techno clubs, and like I'd be wearing like silk shirts. and rolling, and just
like he's in Miami or something. Yeah.
Oh my god, the silk shirts! I can't believe I used to wear those. And I had one. That
I
was
had
like,
a couple too.
I had a DBZ silk shirt that I used to wear all the time. That I remember wearing specifically to the Lava Lounge, and being like on so much drugs and just listening to "When Angels Cry" and by DJ Trashy, I think, and then crying because of this song, and I was feeling so good. I was like, I love you guys, and I look back on that all the time. I'm like, that was a wild time. Oh my god, it was a terrifying time.
Yeah, Tom Segura has a funny bit about selling porn. He was the guy that looked like he was old enough to buy porn, so he didn't sell it. He just went and bought it for all of his dorm room people, people in his dorm.
Look, there's a porn shop off of Lobdell in Port Allen, and I worked there for a long time. And we had a shitty TV and a Nintendo 64, and we would just sit there and watch hentai all night because we didn't have any DVDs. And two guys, or a guy and one of the girls that worked there, you're just not going to watch regular porn and you need something to watch. And we had shitty channels. So it was like LPB or like Fox, like the basic TV. And so you'd get tired of playing the same 364 games. And so we were like, we started watching all the hentai, and it was just crazy Japanese porn. And it was the silliest time ever watching that shit.
No, that's animated. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like squids.
It's some weird shit, dude.
Yeah.
You will watch it. You're just like, you just go, Japanese is a crazy place, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting culture, man. Because it's like metropolitan, Tokyo, is that Japan?
Yeah.
Okay, so those cities like that are like these wild, technologically advanced
there's
places.
There's like a mini city inside of, I think it might be Tokyo, or I'm not sure, but it's called Akibahara, and it's like the otaku place, and that's where like all of the really deep anime weirdness gets, like in that place. But yeah, just when it's animation, it's really creepy.
I agree. I know. This started as research, and then I was like, I gotta stop looking at this shit. But when I was doing that animated bitches joke for a while, I went and looked and was like, dude, they got some really advanced, like looks like Pixar, and it's like it's those chicks and doing all kinds of shit.
There's the internet rule. It's called Rule 34. I don't know if you're aware of the Rule 34, but Rule 34 of the internet states that if something exists, there's a porn of it. So if you just ever curious, you just Rule 34, guns and ammo. Random shit. Yeah, airplanes. I said Rule 34 airplanes, and someone drew a picture of an airplane, a Boeing 747, getting refueled by a jet in midair with a. And you go, okay, like there's some wild shit. Like you could, I'm like, no joke. You say Rule 34 9/11, and there's a picture of an airplane having sex with the Twin Towers.
Okay, so
someone drew that.
But that's where AI is going now, right? Like, can't you pretty much just say whatever you want?
Last night, I was playing around with Bing AI image generator, and I said, I want to generate an image of Nicolas Cage in a movie called Rougarou of New Orleans. And the picture was Nicolas Cage, and he's ripping open his shirt, and it's like a cage with like a heart on it, and there's a werewolf head in his head. Like, I'll send you the image, and if you want to put it up, like, but it is hilarious. Like, I was like, this is crazy, and we were doing all kinds of stuff. I was like, Ric Flair is a D&D wizard, and I was like, this is a T-shirt. This looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then, as somebody who wanted to go to college for graphic design, that's kind of what made me stop. I was going to go do it. I was like, I'm going to go to school for graphic design. It'll help with my comedy. It'll help me with like online stuff and like editing videos and, making my own graphics and everything. And then I was like, oh my God, if I do this, I'm taking out a $14,000 loan because I qualified for half with FAFSA, but like I'm taking out a $14,000 loan and my job could become obsolete in like 2 years because of AI.
Yeah.
So like by the time I get my degree, like I could not have a job.
I went, this is right after I got that, this is 5 years ago, right after I got my job that I have now. I hired a graphic artist out of New Orleans, and I wanted her to draw me 4 panels. And one of them was going to be like me as one of the 4 hobbits in the original trilogy, but from the standpoint, like make it the Peter Jackson sort of visual version of it, and then just make it be like my face instead of Sam or Frodo or something like that.
That'd be pretty funny.
And because it seemed like she could do it, but we just were bumping up against creative differences. She got the project mostly finished, and then she's just like, fuck you, and she took the money and she just didn't finish because I was like asking her to make little small changes. The thing that I wanted her to do, I bet I could just go and do what you're talking about now and have it exactly the way.
To a certain point, there's still things like background images they can't really get, or like
the hands are fucked up.
Hands are fucked up, but a lot of times, so there are certain actors that you could straight up just put, I want this actor doing this, and it'll let it slide. But if they've sued over their image and stuff, it'll block you.
Oh wow!
And then like you have to be careful in your wording, because I wanted like Hulk Hogan as a D&D fighter, but because I had fighter, it kept flagging it. So then I said warrior, and then it changed it, but it wasn't essentially the D&D fighter.
Is way worse.
Yeah.
But I fight, you can get in a fight. If you're a warrior, you're killing the other person.
Yeah.
That's
and probably pillaging their village and everything.
But it sounds like it was less of an issue of like, violent imagery and more of an issue of like or copyright or whatever,
something like
image
that.
and likeness or something like that.
I did tell it to I said, do Pulp Fiction in the style of Adventure Time, and that was some pretty hilarious images that it showed, like Finn and Jake with guns at a diner. It was, but like it was just like, this is crazy.
Did you say it was Bing?
Yeah, Bing image generator.
So is that? I mean, that literally I could just go. Is that open up a browser and just use it?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't even
it's
have to
part
download
of Microsoft,
anything?
so you can either open up Edge and search the Bing image, or you can just do it in Google and just go to the website. You sign in with your Microsoft account, and you just start doing it.
Dude, I would love to play around with that.
Oh, look, I'm going to show you once this is over all the stuff that I was doing, and you're going to trip out at some of it. Some of them are obviously bad, but then there are some ones that are like
Elsa doggy style.
Well, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and my friends for years you commission an artist to draw your character and stuff like that, and now you can dick around with it until you get what you want. Like my character is like, he looks badass, and I have it with my character sheet, and it just gives it a more of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Legitimacy?
Not legitimacy, but it's like, oh man, it's something. It has to deal with lore when you're, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it just you get into it more. Like it pulls me into the character more. Mm-hmm. But that's been fun. I'll be honest. I have not done D&D since becoming a stand-up comic. It's been like 8 years. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends, because of the online now with cameras, you don't have to go sit at a table. We all get together in the comfort of our own home. And so I'm doing it, and I'm having a blast because I'm way better at improv and quick with the comebacks and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm not nervous at all talking to these people, and a lot of the other guys are nervous playing in character. I just get in it.
Mm-hmm. I would love to just sit and observe that, because I always feel like I have an idea of what D&D really is, and I think that some of it changed when I watched Stranger Things, because I'm not really sure whether they were faithful in the
but to the old school D&D, that's like second edition, I think.
Mm-hmm. So it's more elaborate now, or
it's just different. The mechanics have changed. The style of the creatures and everything has changed. And then people have changed with their improv abilities and stuff like that. In Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, it's a lot easier for anybody to pick it up. Like back in the old days, 2 to 3.5, it was more difficult. There were a ton of side manuals, and there was all this other stuff. And a lot of like old school true D&D lovers still love 3.5, but 5th edition is for like everybody. It made it a lot easier,
more accessible.
It also dumbed down the power scaling, because at a certain point in the old D&D, when you get to like level 7 and up, you were like a walking god. Yeah. And it made it really hard for the dungeon masters to craft stories. Now it takes a lot longer to become a god tier character. Mm-hmm. And so it gives the DM a lot more room to create fun adventures while not like flying around like Goku and blowing up suns and shit like that.
Right. Because that was kind of the thing with Superman, right? They talk about how he became overpowered, and that's how they had to come up with kryptonite, because he was just too...
It's funny that you're saying that, because I'm watching right now, there's a podcast, it's called Talkville, and it's Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling, so Clark Kent and Lex Luthor from Smallville. And 20 years later, they're watching every episode of Smallville and talking about it.
Oh, cool.
And I've been watching the episodes of Smallville on Hulu and then watching the podcast and seeing how they were like, Superman's the most powerful character in the world. We're not going to let him fly. We're going to limit his abilities in his youth to just tell this narrative story. And listening to the actors talk with the directors and hearing that inside baseball about it has been really cool.
Yeah, that does. I like his podcast. It's the guy that played Lex is
Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah. So does he also have his own?
Yeah. Okay. He produces both of those podcasts, but he has his own too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of the one of him doing his own stuff, and he seems like a smart guy, and he's able.
Well, he played 2 DC characters. He played Lex Luthor, and he's the voice of the animated Flash and all of the Bruce Timm Justice League, animated series stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Tom Welling plays 2 DC characters. He plays Superman, and then in Lucifer, he plays Kane. Just a little fun fact.
I heard that show The show's been around for a few seasons now, right?
What,
Lucifer?
7 seasons and they're done.
And then is there a spinoff of it?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I could have sworn.
Well, it was a CW show, and then it got canceled, and then it got picked up with Netflix, and Netflix did like the last 2 seasons, and
gotcha.
It's a fun show. I liked it.
I've heard good things.
Yeah,
And definitely
I think it's hilarious.
Very, very passionate fan base, from what I understand.
Yeah, they brought the show back. I mean, it was only through the fans that they got the show to come back.
Very cool. Well, I know you answered the question last time when you were here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go through that again and give an updated answer, or do you want to just leave that portion? Because
no, I've when I said giving up my hands, I meant it like physical thing. It'd be that's more like, to me, that's more important to me. Like the being able to interact with the world with my hands. Someone as a chef. As a gamer, I don't like
the cold.
Somebody who jerks off a lot. Hands. My hands are very important to me.
Yeah, you couldn't be in the business of selling porn like you did.
Oh no, I mean, people got to know. People got to know, like
you got to test your product.
Yeah, yeah. So we go the 5-knuckle review, 1 to 5. Like
you get high on your own supply. I love it.
Oh man. No, I mean, I stand with that. I stand with if the biggest thing for me would be if I gave up my hands, because that touch is so important to me as a sensation. And like I said, I'm a video gamer, holding the microphone, like all of those things are like super important. Like when I'm accessing memories, smell and touch are like huge things for me. And the same goes as a chef. I mean, I was a chef for years. Like losing my hands would be fucking devastating.
Yeah.
But if it meant that I could do stand up forever, and I'd be like top of the tier popular, yeah, I'd give my hands up.
Fucking A.
With the advancements in modern technology, who knows? Maybe one day my robot hands will,
dude. So yeah, man, like the stuff that I've been seeing. That's just, I try not to think about it because it's overwhelming, because it's becoming so real now. But between AI and robotics, the stuff that I've seen us doing,
they would do like Luke Skywalker's hand.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I was watching that. They're like, yeah, pretty soon that won't be like a sci-fi thing. Like if you would lose your hand, we can make you a new one.
It's like, I mean, think about Evil Dead. Evil Dead.
Don gets like these big old legs.
Big old.
Yeah.
Dude, look, they've already proven. They had this one, that crazy. They did like a weird bladed version of it in the Kingsman, the second Kingsman movie. But they have these weird, it's like springs. They look like metal kind of springs. And they make people run faster, and they're not tired.
Yeah,
they can haul ass on those things.
That runner that shot his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Remember that guy? He didn't have any legs. He had those spring things. Yeah, he was a runner. I don't know if he was in the Olympics or something. And then one night, he heard a noise in the middle of the night, and he heard a noise in the bathroom, and he shot through the door, and it was his wife or girlfriend was in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't hear. If I heard that,
he never thought to look in next to him.
Yeah,
allegedly. I think he went to jail for that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But he had those spring things he would run on.
Wow, it's funny. We were talking. Speaking of murder, last night I was talking to my friends because one of my buddies his name's Butler. He is a super nerd. Like. When you think super,
that means a lot after we just finished talking about D&D.
Well, I mean, like Superman, he plays D&D, but like I'm talking like the closet introvert, like does it like hardcore, like, or not closet, but like he just like this stays inside, super introvert, like just that stereotypical nerd guy. And he was telling me that he was talking about how because growing up. And I'm not afraid to admit this. Like growing up, Power Rangers was like, I told people as a kid, I'm gonna be a fucking Power Ranger when I grow up.
Yeah.
And when my parents would never bring me to go be an actor, I still blame them to this day. When I pull the plug, that's gonna be for one of the reasons that I do it. It's because they didn't bring me to California to be a Power Ranger. But we were talking about how one of the Power Rangers had killed himself recently. The one that I was a big fan of, the Green Ranger.
Yeah.
But
we started talking Ranger too. At a certain point.
White Ranger. Yeah. But we were talking about the tragedies that have been that are like, there's a curse because a lot of people have died. There was like another Power Ranger like beat his wife and then killed himself because he didn't want to go to jail. But there was one, his name is Ricardo Madiaz Jr. And now he was in a later series when Disney owned him that I don't know anything about, but he got into a fight with his roommate. I was reading this last night. And his roommate was yelling at him from the other side of the door of his room, and he picked up a samurai sword and he ran it through the door, stabbing his roommate through the gut, killing him slowly. He died bleeding from his stomach. And he went to jail for 6 years. They let him out first because they were like self-defense, but they went back and reinvestigated, and they were like, he wasn't trying to kick your door down. You just used that as an excuse to kill him. But he only got 6 years because of how, I guess, courts or work. I don't know how.
Right.
But he's out now. And I was telling people, I was like, man, that dude took this Power Ranger oath too far.
I tell you what, though, if I would be that guy, I wouldn't take no shit from anyone, dude.
Look, if I was
After that, if there's someone, what the fuck did you just say to me?
If I was fighting with my roommate and he was an ex-Power Ranger and he walked into his room and I'm screaming at him and I hear him yell, "It's morphin' time!" I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Yeah. I'm running out the house. Like I'm gonna shoot through the door. Like, you know. Oh man, shit. I appreciate you guys letting me come out, man. Like, I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, we're glad you came, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Morgan's a good time. If you guys want to see him perform, let's see where's the most likely chance people are going to be able to see you next?
The best way to follow me is to follow me on Facebook, Morgan Wright, Morgan C. Wright. You'll see me with my red plaid shirt. You can follow me on Instagram at The Morganization, or just follow North Shore Comedy, Lafayette Comedy, and Baton Rouge Comedy. That's my home. This is my hometown. I do Lafayette and North Shore Comedy more than anything else. Mm-hmm. You can actually, if you go to LafayetteComedy.com, if you go to the list of comedians, you can see my picture and a lot of other guys. You click on them and it'll show you any of the shows that we have coming up that we're on in Lafayette. So I don't have anything up really next. All my shows have been in October. And a lot of the times for the last couple of years, I've taken like a real big break during November and December because I travel a lot for the holidays. I'll try to you'll see me at open mics and stuff. And if they ask me to do a quick booking here and there, I'll do it. But I hate doing shows when people travel during the holidays because it's just so hard to get people to come in sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, last year being the first year in comedy during the holidays, I kind of like made a lot of sacrifices to what I would normally do so that I could be more available to comedy. But I made a decision this year that like, I'm probably going to be kind of sparsely around between actual like Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, I tell people the same thing. From November 20th till December 25th, I'm not available for comedy unless you hit me up and you're like, hey, tomorrow somebody didn't show up. Are you available? And I am, then I can jump on it. But my mom lives in Texas. My dad, I'm back and forth between those places so much. And it doesn't make sense to try to be all stressed out about a show.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the holidays, man.
I don't. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, it's a different thing.
I like Thanksgiving. I don't like Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind any reason to cook food. Like that's always going to be great. And I do love Thanksgiving food. So it's awesome that we get that. But at the same time, just sometimes when you have to be the host, it's just so exhausting.
Oh, dude, yeah. I love doing it for Thanksgiving. I love having Thanksgiving at my house.
Not me. I like
Thanksgiving to me is like the potheads holiday. Too.
It is for me, but I like when my family does it because I'll make a dish and everybody always says, "Morgan, your dish was the best one," and I go, "Yeah, you're right," because I'm fucking amazing.
I still get that.
But I'll bring my own dish. But like I show up late. They cook the food. I show up right when the food's ready, blazed out of my mind. I walk in. I'm like, "Hey, everybody, here's the chicken or turkey or whatever the fuck."
What I like about it is there's no like the worst part about holidays is the having to be here, have to be there, and it's like I'm already fucking here, and I'm like I'll tell anybody. I'll invite everyone in my family. I'll invite my friends and stuff, and I always say like. They say, okay, is it lunch or dinner or supper or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever one you can make. I fucking live here. Food will be ready for lunch But if you have another Thanksgiving thing for lunch, come in the evening, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be a little bit drunker than in the morning, but I'll be hanging in there.
See, I don't want people at my house because I want to be able to go to a quiet home. So I like going. My cousin Robert on my mom's side, he's the oldest of all the grandchildren. And now that all of our parents are like aged out and a lot of them have passed away, he has taken it on his own to be the new like patriarch of the Downs family. So he wants to do this big Thanksgiving this year, and I'm so fucking grateful. Everybody's going to go to his house. It's in Zachary. I'll go. I'll just like hang out, and then I get to leave on my own terms. Mm-hmm. And what's perfect about being a single guy, being this comedian guy, is that people just assume, I mean, you look at me, I don't not eat. Like I eat well, but they're just like, oh my God, you don't have anybody to.
They assume you're poor.
Yeah, and so they'll just send me home with all the leftovers, and I'm eating turkey. I'm eating Thanksgiving sandwiches every day for 5 days, bro.
And I usually get stuck with it because that's one of the things about doing it at my house. People will leave with food, but we get left with a lot of it.
Yeah,
so it's good. So I'll think about like, ooh man, have some more of that turkey, that roast.
Dude, last year, my dad. He got so shit-faced that when we came home, he had this bucket of potato salad, and half of people there was better potato salad, and he was mad about it. So he was drunk, and he sat there with a big ass spoon, and he just fucking ate potato salad with his eyes closed out of a bowl until he fell asleep with the potato salad in his hand. And I walk into the living room, and the dog is just eating potato salad, like just sitting up out of the bowl, and he's just passed out in his chair.
That's so fucking awesome. Dude,
I
tend to think of Thanksgiving as really just nothing more than like Christmas kickoff.
Yeah.
And so, because it used to have more meaning, because like we used to have family get-togethers.
Yeah, it's a Christmas that doesn't fucking cost a fortune.
All right, thanks, Morgan. We appreciate you coming out, and thanks for providing us with some great content.
Yeah.
And
bye, everybody.
We hope you guys enjoyed it, and you keep plugging away at it, and we'll see you next week.